Become yourself and finally stop pleasing everyone. Introduction. You're not too much, you've just been shrinking yourself for the wrong people. They called you too much. Too loud, too intense, too emotional, too opinionated, too much, and you believed them. So you learned to shrink, to soften, to dim your light so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. You learned to laugh quieter, speak softer, want less. You learned to disappear. And for a while it worked. People liked you more, accepted you, kept you around, but at what cost? The price of being just right. You traded yourself for approval. You buried your needs so others wouldn't be inconvenienced. You swallowed your truth so no one would be upset. You became exactly what everyone wanted you to be. Everyone except you. And now you're exhausted, resentful, lost, because you've spent so long being what others needed that you don't even know who you are anymore. You were never too much. Let me tell you the truth, they never told you were never too much. You were just surrounded by people who couldn't handle your fullness. People who needed you small, quiet, controllable. People who benefited from your shrinking. And when you finally stopped shrinking, when you spoke up, set boundaries, asked for what you needed, they called you selfish, difficult, too much. Not because you changed, but because they could no longer control you. This book is your permission slip. You've been waiting for permission to be yourself. Here it is. Permission to stop shrinking. Permission to stop apologizing for existing. Permission to want more. To need more. To be more. Permission to finally, unapologetically, become yourself. This book will show you why people pleasing is slowly destroying you, how to stop abandoning yourself for approval, how to set boundaries without guilt, how to reclaim the parts of yourself you gave away, how to live boldly instead of carefully, how to become the person you were always meant to be. Not the version they wanted, the version you are. The world doesn't need another people pleaser. The world is full of people who've made themselves small, who've hidden their truth, who've silenced their voice, who've traded authenticity for acceptance. The world doesn't need more of them. It needs you, real, raw, unapologetic, the version of you that doesn't ask for permission, the version that knows their worth, the version that refuses to shrink ever again. That version, it's time to let them out. This is where it begins. Right here, right now. This is the moment you stop living for everyone else and start living for yourself. The moment you stop asking, will they still like me? And start asking, do I still like me? It won't be comfortable. People will resist. Some will leave. And that's okay. Because the ones who stay, they'll love the real you. And the ones who leave, they only love the version you performed. So take a breath, feel the fear, the guilt, the discomfort, and step forward anyway, because it's time to stop pleasing everyone, and finally become yourself. Chapter 1. People pleasing is self-abandonment and you know it. Part 1. The silent pain of living for approval. You smile when you want to scream, you say yes when you mean no. You give when you're empty, and no one knows you're dying inside. The performance of being fine. Every day you put on the mask that says I'm fine, I'm happy, I'm easy, I don't need anything, and people believe it, because you've perfected the performance. But inside you're screaming for someone to see you, to ask if you're okay, to notice that you're not fine. But they don't, because you've trained them not to. The invisible weight. People pleasing looks easy from the outside. She's so agreeable, so easy to get along with. But they don't see the weight you're carrying, the weight of swallowing your needs, suppressing your truth, managing everyone's emotions, never asking for anything in return. That weight, it's crushing you. The silent scream. You're screaming, but no one can hear you, because you've learned to scream silently, to smile while you're breaking, to say it's fine when it's not, to perform cocaineess while you're drowning. And the worst part, you've been doing it for so long, even you can't hear the scream anymore. You know it's killing you. Deep down you know that living for approval is destroying you. That saying yes when you mean no is betraying yourself. That shrinking yourself is self-abandonment. You know, but you do it anyway, Because the pain of disappointing others feels bigger than the pain of losing yourself, until one day it doesn't. Part 2: Why good people break themselves first. You're a good person, you care, you help, you give, and that's exactly why you're breaking. The good person trap. You were taught that being good means putting others first, never causing conflict, being selfless, always helping. And you believed it, so you gave, and gave, and gave, until there was nothing left. And now, you're exhausted, resentful, empty, because good became synonymous with self-sacrificing. Good people don't set boundaries until they break. You don't set boundaries because that would make you selfish, right? You don't say no because that would make you difficult, right? You don't prioritize yourself because that would make you a bad person, right? Wrong. The truth is, good people who don't set boundaries don't stay good. They break, they become resentful, bitter, burned out, because you can't pour from an empty cup. Why you break first? You break first because you care the most. You feel responsible for everyone's happiness, everyone's comfort, everyone's needs, everyone except your own. And while you're busy taking care of everyone else, no one's taking care of you. Not because they don't care, but because you never ask. The breaking point. There comes a moment when you can't do it anymore, when the weight is too heavy, the resentment too deep, the exhaustion too consuming. That's your breaking point. And it's also your turning point, because breaking is not the end. It's the beginning of rebuilding yourself, takes time, without abandoning you. Part 3: When yes means no, the betrayal of your own needs. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you betray yourself. The yes that should have been no. How many times have you said yes when everything inside you was screaming no? You agreed to the favor you didn't have time for. You attended the event you didn't want to go to. You stayed in the relationship that was draining you. You said yes, but you meant no. And every time you did, you abandoned yourself. Why you say yes when you mean no? Fear of disappointing them, fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of being seen as selfish, fear of not being loved if you're not convenient. So you say yes, even when it costs you, because the fear of losing them feels bigger than the cost of losing yourself. The cost of every false yes. Chapter 3. If they only love you when you shrink, it's not love. 1. The relationships that feed on your silence. Let's talk about the people who need you small, the ones who smile when you agree, who breathe easier when you don't ask for too much, who call you easygoing because you've learned not to have edges. You know exactly who I'm talking about, the friend who vents for hours but gets uncomfortable when you need support, the partner who loves your softness but punishes your strength, the family member who praises you for being low maintenance, which really means you don't take up space. These relationships aren't built on love, they're built on your willingness to disappear. And here's the part that hurts: you've been calling this loyalty, you've been calling this kindness, you've been calling this love, but love doesn't require you to be less. Love doesn't ask you to mute yourself so someone else can be comfortable. Love doesn't punish you for growing. Real love celebrates your voice even when it disagrees. Real love makes room for your needs even when they're inconvenient. Real love doesn't flinch when you finally show up fully. The relationships that feed on your silence. They're not relationships, they're arrangements. Arrangements where you stay quiet, and they stay comfortable, and you've been honoring your side of the deal for years. But what about your side? What about your comfort? What about your voice? When was the last time someone asked you what you needed and actually waited for the real answer? When was the last time you spoke your truth and didn't immediately apologize for it? When was the last time you took up space and didn't feel guilty? If you can't remember, that's your answer. These relationships survive on your self-abandonment. The moment you start showing up for yourself, they'll feel it. And they won't like it, because your silence was their peace. Your smallness was their comfort. Your people-pleasing was their privilege. And when you stop providing it, they'll call you selfish, they'll call you difficult, they'll call you changed. Good, let them, because the truth is you have changed. You've stopped betraying yourself to keep them happy, and if that threatens the relationship, then the relationship was never built to hold the real you anyway. 2. Why strong boundaries scare weak people. Here's something nobody tells you: strong boundaries don't push people away. They reveal who was only there because you had none. When you start saying no, some people will disappear, not because you did something wrong, but because they were only around when you were doing everything for them. Your boundaries aren't the problem, their entitlement is, because a boundary is just a statement of reality. This is where I end. And you begin. This is what I'm available for, and what I'm not. This is what I will accept, and what I won't tolerate. Simple, clear, non-negotiable. And for people who are used to you bending, that feels like violence. They'll tell you you've changed, that you're being unreasonable, that you're not the person they thought you were, and they're right. You're not. You're not the person who sacrifices their well-being for their convenience. You're not the person who says yes when you mean no. You're not the person who apologizes for having needs. You've become someone who respects themselves. And that terrifies people who were counting on you not to. Because your lack of boundaries was useful to them. It meant they could take without asking, demand without giving, expect without reciprocating. Your boundaries disrupt that. They force people to actually consider you, to respect you, to treat you like you matter. And weak people? They don't want to do that work, so they'll test you. They'll push back, they'll act wounded when you hold your ground. You never used to be like this. I can't believe you're doing this to me. What happened to you? What happened to you is you woke up. You realized that being loved shouldn't require being erased, and now you're done. Done explaining, done justifying, done apologizing for having a spine. Strong boundaries scare weak people because they expose the imbalance. They reveal who is taking advantage of your kindness, who is exploiting your generosity, who is benefiting from your silence. And when that light turns on, some people will change, they'll adjust, they'll learn to meet you where you are. But some won't. They'll blame you for changing the terms, for not being who they needed you to be, for finally choosing yourself. And you know what? Let them go, because anyone who can only love you without boundaries can't actually love you. They love what you do for them. They love how you make them feel. They love the version of you that costs them nothing, but they don't love you. And you don't need their love, you need your own. 3. The cost of staying small to keep peace. You think you're keeping the peace. You're not. You're keeping the appearance of peace. There's a difference. Real peace is mutual. It's honest. It's built on truth and respect. What you're maintaining, that's not peace. That's silence. Your silence. And it's costing you everything. Every time you swallow your truth to avoid conflict, you're choosing their comfort over your integrity. Every time you shrink yourself to keep someone calm, you're teaching them that your feelings don't matter. Every time you stay small to maintain harmony, you're trading your soul for a fake sense of safety. And the price? It's higher than you think. It's your self-respect, your authenticity, your aliveness. It's the slow death of who you actually are, because you can't stay small forever. You can't keep biting your tongue. You can't keep folding yourself into shapes that don't fit. Eventually you'll break, or you'll explode, or you'll just disappear completely even to yourself. And that peace you were protecting, it was never yours to begin with. It was theirs. You were just the one paying for it. With your voice, your needs, your truth, you've been the sacrifice at the altar of someone else's comfort. And you've been doing it so long you forgot it wasn't normal. But it's not. It's not normal to fear your own honesty. It's not normal to apologize for existing. It's not normal to feel relief when someone doesn't need something from you. That's not peace. That's exhaustion. And staying small won't protect you. It never does. Because the people who benefit from your smallness, they'll never tell you it's enough. They'll always need you a little quieter, a little more agreeable, a little less you. And you'll keep shrinking, thinking that this time, if you just give a little more, maybe you'll finally be acceptable. Maybe they'll finally be satisfied. Maybe you'll finally feel safe, but you won't. Because safety doesn't come from making yourself smaller. It comes from being yourself fully and trusting that you can handle whatever comes. The cost of staying small is the life you could have lived, the person you could have been, the relationships that could have been real. You've been trading your future for a false sense of calm. And it's time to stop. 4. Outgrowing approval and stepping into truth. There's a moment when it hits you, A moment when you realize you've spent your entire life performing for people who weren't even paying attention. You've been auditioning for approval that was never coming, chasing acceptance that was always conditional, building your identity around what other people needed you to be. And it worked, for a while, until it didn't, until you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize yourself, until you realized you've been living someone else's version of your life, until you felt the weight of all those yeses you never meant. That's the moment. The moment you start outgrowing approval, and it feels terrifying. Because approval has been your compass, your safety net, your proof that you were doing it right. But here's the truth: approval is a cage dressed up as validation. It keeps you small, it keeps you safe, it keeps you stuck. Because when you need approval, you can't risk being yourself, you can't speak your truth, you can't want what you want, you can't be who you are. You can only be who they need you to be, and that version. It's exhausting, it's hollow, it's not you, so you start letting it go. Slowly, painfully, one uncomfortable truth at a time. You stop pretending you agree when you don't. You stop laughing at jokes that aren't funny. You stop nodding along to conversations that drain you. You start speaking up, pushing back, taking up space, and people notice. They'll tell you you've changed. That you're being difficult, that you're not who you used to be. And you'll want to apologize. You'll want to smooth it over. You'll want to go back to being easy. Don't, because who you used to be, that person wasn't free. They were tolerated, conditionally accepted, loved for how little they demanded. But that's not love, that's convenience. Real love doesn't require you to hide. Real connection doesn't punish authenticity. Real belonging doesn't ask you to betray yourself. Outgrowing approval means stepping into something bigger: truth. Your truth, not the truth that makes people comfortable. Not the truth that gets you praise, the truth that sets you free. And yes, it will cost you. Some people will leave. Some relationships will end. Some doors will close, but new ones will open. Doors to people who don't need you small. Relationships built on honesty instead of performance. Connections where you can breathe fully, because when you stop chasing approval, you start attracting alignment. People who see you, who get you, who celebrate you not in spite of your truth, but because of it. This is the trade: approval for authenticity, performance for presence, acceptance for aliveness, and once you make it, you'll never go back. Because living in your truth, even when it's uncomfortable, is 1,000 times better than dying for someone else's approval. You spent enough time being who they needed, now it's time to be who you are, fully, loudly, unapologetically. And if they don't like it, that's not your problem anymore. Chapter 4. Saying no is your first act of becoming yourself. 1. The emotional muscle of refusing. You said yes 1,000 times when you meant no. You know this. You feel it every time, that split second when someone asks for something, and your gut says no, but your mouth says sure. It happens so fast you almost don't notice. Almost, but you do notice. You notice in the tightness in your chest, the resentment that builds, the exhaustion that follows. Because every yes you don't mean is a small betrayal of yourself. And you've been doing it for so long it feels normal, natural, automatic, but it's not. It's a learned behavior, a survival mechanism. A way you've kept yourself safe in a world that punished you for having needs. And now, it's time to unlearn it. Saying no is a muscle. And like any muscle, it's weak when you first start using it. The first no feels impossible. Your heart races. Your hands shake. Your voice cracks. You'll feel guilt before you even finish the sentence. You'll want to take it back immediately. You'll scramble to explain, to soften, to justify. Don't let the no stand, bare, unapologetic, complete. It will feel wrong, because you've been trained to believe that your needs are negotiable, that your boundaries are suggestions, that your comfort is less important than someone else's convenience. But that's a lie. Your no is just as valid as their ask. Your boundary is just as important as their need. Your peace matters just as much as their expectation. And the more you practice saying no, the stronger that muscle becomes. The second no is easier. The 10th is almost natural. The 100th is effortless. Not because you stop caring, but because you start caring about the right things. You care about your integrity more than their approval. You care about your energy more than their convenience. You care about your truth more than their comfort. And that's not selfish. That's self-respect, because saying no to them is saying yes to yourself. Yes to your time, yes to your energy, yes to your boundaries, yes to your life. And you've been saying yes to everyone else for too long. So start small. Say no to the favor you don't want to do. Say no to the invitation that drains you. Say no to the conversation you don't have energy for. Feel the discomfort. Sit with the guilt. Notice the urge to take it back, and don't. Because every time you hold that boundary, you're building that muscle. You're reclaiming your power. You're becoming yourself. And eventually, no becomes easy, not because you don't care about people, but because you finally care about yourself just as much. And that changes everything. 2. The guilt detox. The guilt will come, count on it. The first time you say no to someone who's used to you saying yes, you'll feel it. Heavy. Suffocating, convincing. It will tell you you're being selfish, that you're letting people down, that you're a bad person, and you'll believe it, because you've been conditioned to believe that your needs are an inconvenience. But here's what guilt actually is. It's the voice of your conditioning, not your conscience. It's the internalized expectations of everyone who benefited from your self-abandonment. The voice of everyone who told you that being good meant being small. The echo of everyone who punished you for wanting more, and it sounds like you. But it's not. Real guilt shows up when you actually harm someone, when you lie, betray, violate someone's trust or dignity. This guilt shows up when you don't harm yourself, when you protect your time, when you honor your boundaries, when you choose your well-being over someone else's entitlement. That's not real guilt, that's conditioning. And you need to detox from it. Here's how. Every time the guilt shows up, notice it, name it. This is conditioning. Then ask yourself, did I actually do something wrong? Or did I just do something I'm not used to doing? Did I harm someone? Or did I just disappoint them? Did I betray someone? Or did I just stop betraying myself? 9 times out of 10, you didn't do anything wrong, you just did something different, and different feels dangerous when you've been people-pleasing your entire life. But dangerous doesn't mean wrong. The guilt will scream that you're selfish. So let it scream, then remind yourself selfish is taking without giving. Self-care is giving to yourself first. There's a difference. You're not selfish for having boundaries. You're not selfish for saying no. You're not selfish for refusing to sacrifice yourself for someone else's comfort. You're responsible. Responsible for your energy, your time, your life. And no one else is going to protect those things for you. The guilt will try to pull you back. It will remind you of all the times you said yes. It will make you feel like you owe people your compliance. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they've had it before. You don't owe anyone your energy just because they ask for it. You don't owe anyone a yes just because no feels uncomfortable. The guilt is lying to you, and the only way to stop believing it is to keep saying no anyway, over and over, until the guilt gets quieter, until it loses its power, until you realize that the sky didn't fall, and you didn't become a monster. You just became someone who respects themselves, and if that makes people uncomfortable, good. Let them be uncomfortable. You've been uncomfortable your entire life trying to make them happy. It's their turn. 3. No as a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Read that again. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Not for your no, not for your boundary, not for your choice. No is a complete sentence, but you've been taught that it's not. You've been taught that no needs a reason, an excuse, a justification. You've been taught that you have to earn the right to refuse. So you explain, you over-explain, you apologize. I'm so sorry, I'd love to, but I have this thing, and I really can't get out of it, and I feel terrible. But maybe next time. Stop. That's not a boundary. That's a negotiation. And when you negotiate your no, you're inviting people to argue with it. to push back, to convince you, to find the loophole in your excuse. Because that's what an explanation is, an opening. It says, I'm saying no, but if you can prove my reason isn't good enough, I'll say yes. And people will take that opening every time. Oh, but that thing can wait. Right? Come on, just this once. I really need you. And suddenly, you're defending yourself, justifying your boundary, fighting for the right to say no. Exhausting. So stop explaining. Say no, and stop. Can you cover my shift? No. Can you stay late? No. Can you help me with this? No. Full stop. No apology. No explanation. No justification. Just no. It will feel rude. It will feel harsh. It will feel wrong. Good. Because you've been so polite for so long that honesty feels like cruelty. But it's not. It's clarity. And clarity is a gift. When you say no without explanation, you're not being rude. You're being clear. You're not being harsh. You're being honest. You're not being selfish. You're being respectful of yourself and them. Because when you say no clearly, there's no confusion, no false hope, no room for manipulation, just truth. And if they push back, if they demand a reason, you still don't owe them one. I don't have to explain my no, that's it. Because your no doesn't need a reason to be valid. Your boundary doesn't need approval to exist. Your choice doesn't need justification to matter. You're allowed to say no simply because you want to, and that's enough. Some people won't like it. They'll call you difficult, cold, unreasonable. Let them, because the people who respect you, they won't need an explanation. They'll hear your no and honor it. No questions, no guilt trips, no demands, just respect. And those are the people worth keeping around. The rest, they were only there because your yes was guaranteed. And you don't need them anymore. You need people who can handle your no, who can respect your boundaries without needing a dissertation on why they exist. You need people who understand that no is a complete sentence. And you need to become that person for yourself first. So practice. Say no, and don't explain. Feel the discomfort. Resist the urge to fill the silence. Let the no stand alone, because the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And eventually, no won't feel like rebellion. It will feel like freedom. 4. The power of choosing yourself publicly. Here's the thing about choosing yourself, it's not enough to do it privately. You can set all the boundaries you want in your head. You can say no in your mind 1,000 times. You can tell yourself you matter. But until you do it out loud, in front of people, nothing changes. Because private boundaries are safe. They don't risk anything. They don't threaten anyone. They don't cost you approval. Public boundaries, that's where the real work is. That's where you prove to yourself and the world that you're done shrinking. When you choose yourself publicly, you're making a statement: I matter. And I'm not hiding it anymore. You're not asking permission. You're not seeking approval. You're not apologizing. You're just being, fully, visibly, unapologetically. And that terrifies people who benefited from your invisibility. Because when you choose yourself publicly, you can't take it back. You can't pretend you didn't say it. You can't soften it later. You can't go back to being the person who made everyone comfortable. You've drawn a line, and everyone can see it. This is the moment when people pleasing dies. Not quietly, not privately, loudly. When you say no in front of others. When you speak up in a meeting. When you correct someone who disrespects you. When you walk away from something that doesn't serve you even though everyone's watching. That's power. Not power over others. Power over yourself. The power to choose your dignity over their comfort. The power to choose your truth over their expectations. The power to choose your life over their approval. And yes, people will react. They'll be surprised, confused, maybe even offended. Wow, okay, that's not like you. When did you get so? Let them finish that sentence however they want. Because whatever word they use, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about the fact that you're no longer playing the role they assigned you. And that makes them uncomfortable. Good. Your discomfort kept them comfortable for years. It's their turn now. Choosing yourself publicly is an announcement: I'm done performing. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. And some will leave. They'll distance themselves. They'll stop calling. They'll quietly exit your life because you're no longer easy to be around. And you'll feel it. The loss, the loneliness, the fear that maybe you made a mistake. You didn't, because the people who leave when you start showing up were only there for the version of you that didn't exist. They didn't love you. They loved your compliance. And you don't need that anymore. What you need are people who can handle the real you. Who don't flinch when you take up space. who celebrate your voice instead of silencing it, who choose you back loudly, and those people, they'll show up. Not immediately, but they will, because when you stop hiding, you become visible to the right people. The ones who've been looking for someone real, someone honest, someone who's done pretending. Choosing yourself publicly is scary, but it's also the most freeing thing you'll ever do. Because once you do it, you can't unknow your power. You can't go back to believing you're too much. You can't go back to apologizing for existing. You can't go back to shrinking. You've tasted freedom, and there's no going back, so do it. Choose yourself, out loud, in front of everyone, and watch what happens. Not to them, to you. Chapter 5. Your true self is loud, unapologetic, and done with pretending. 1. The identity beneath the masks. You've been wearing masks so long you forgot what your face looks like. The easygoing mask, the I'm fine mask, the whatever you want mask. Each one carefully crafted to make you acceptable, likable, safe. But here's the problem: you can't wear a mask forever. Eventually it cracks. Or you suffocate, or you forget it's even a mask at all and start believing that's who you are. But it's not. Beneath all those layers of performance, there's a person you've been hiding, the one who has opinions that might offend, the one who wants things that seem selfish, the one who's tired of being nice when they feel like screaming. That person, that's you, the real you. Not the you that's been trained to be palatable. Not the you that's been conditioned to keep the peace. Not the you that's been performing for approval. The actual you, and you've buried that person so deep. You might not even know who they are anymore. You might not know what you actually like, what you actually want, what you actually believe, because you've spent so much time asking what will they think, what will they want, what will keep them happy. You forgot to ask, what do I think, what do I want, what makes me happy. And now it's time to find out. Start asking yourself the questions you've been avoiding. If no one was watching, what would I do? If no one's opinion mattered, what would I say? If I didn't have to be likable, who would I be? The answers might surprise you. They might scare you. They might make you realize how much of yourself you've given away. But they'll also wake you up, because the identity beneath the masks, it's not polite, it's not agreeable, it's not easy, it's honest, it's messy, it's alive. And it's been waiting for you to stop pretending. So take off the mask. Not all at once if that's too much, but slowly. One conversation at a time, one boundary at a time, one truth at a time. Stop performing, stop filtering, stop adjusting yourself to fit the room. Just be. Be loud when you feel loud. Be quiet when you need quiet. Be angry when something's wrong. Be difficult when easy means betraying yourself. Be you. Not the you they want, the you that you are. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable, vulnerable, dangerous, even, because you've spent your whole life believing that your real self is too much, too intense, too complicated, too hard to love. But that's a lie. Your real self is not too much, it's just you. And the right people, they won't need you to tone it down. 2. How to speak in your real voice. You know that feeling when you say something and immediately regret it? Not because it was wrong, but because it was true. And true feels dangerous when you're used to being careful. You've spent years learning how to speak in a way that doesn't upset anyone, how to phrase things just right, how to soften your words so they don't land too hard. You've become fluent in the language of people pleasing. I might be wrong, but this is just my opinion, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but every sentence starts with an apology. Every opinion comes with a disclaimer. Every truth is wrapped in 10 layers of softness so no one gets hurt, except you. You get hurt because every time you dilute your truth, you're telling yourself that what you think doesn't matter, that your voice isn't valuable unless it's approved, that you need permission to exist fully, and you don't. Your voice is not up for debate. Your truth is not up for approval. Your words don't need to be softened to be valid. So stop apologizing for them, stop hedging, stop qualifying, stop making yourself smaller with language, speak directly. I think, not I might be wrong, but I think I don't like this. Not I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm not sure I like this. No, not I'm so sorry, but I don't think I can. Maybe another time, clean, clear, honest. Your real voice doesn't need cushioning. It needs space. And yes, it will feel jarring to you and to others, because people are used to your soft voice, the one that never challenges, never disagrees, never demands. Your real voice, it does all of those things. And that's okay, because your real voice is not mean, it's honest. It's not aggressive, it's direct. It's not too much, it's just not too little anymore. And some people won't like it. They'll say you've gotten harsh, that you're being blunt, that you're not yourself. But you are yourself. For the first time, you're just not the self they needed you to be. So keep speaking, say what you mean. Mean what you say, don't apologize for either. Let your words take up space. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them be true, because your real voice, the one you've been swallowing for years, that's the voice that will change your life, not because it's louder, but because it's yours, and you've been quiet long enough. 3. Living boldly instead of carefully. You've been living carefully your whole life, careful not to offend, careful not to ask for too much, careful not to make waves. You tiptoe, you whisper, you shrink. All in the name of keeping the peace, staying safe, being loved. But here's what no one told you: careful living is not living, it's surviving. And you've been surviving when you could have been thriving, because careful keeps you small. It keeps you hidden. It keeps you stuck in a life that's safe but suffocating. Bold sets you free. Bold doesn't ask permission. Bold doesn't wait for approval. Bold doesn't calculate every move to minimize risk. Bold just moves. It speaks up in the meeting. It walks away from what's not working. It asks for what it wants without apologizing. It lives. And maybe that sounds reckless to you. Maybe you're thinking, but what if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I lose everything? Here's the truth. You might fail. You might be judged. You might lose people. But you know what's guaranteed if you keep living carefully? You'll lose yourself. You'll spend your whole life playing it safe and wonder why you feel so empty. You'll avoid risk and realize too late that the biggest risk was never trying. Careful living is slow death. Bold living is aliveness, and you get to choose, so choose bold. Not reckless, not impulsive, just honest. Choose to say what you mean. Choose to go after what you want. Choose to live like your time here matters, because it does. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting to feel ready. You'll never feel ready. Bold doesn't feel ready. Bold feels terrifying. But it moves anyway. Because the alternative, staying careful, is worse. It's a lifetime of what-ifs. A lifetime of shrinking. A lifetime of watching other people live while you stay safe on the sidelines. And you weren't put here to watch. You were put here to live. So live. Live loudly. Live messily. Live imperfectly. But live boldly. Make the move you're scared to make. Say the thing you're scared to say. Take up the space you've been too afraid to claim. And if you fail, you fail. At least you'll fail while being yourself, instead of succeeding at being someone you're not. Because living boldly doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees you won't die wondering what could have been. And that's everything. 4. Becoming the person you once needed. There was a version of you that needed someone to say you're not too much. Your needs matter. You don't have to shrink to be loved. And they never came, so you learned to survive without them. You learned to make yourself small. You learned to need less, to ask for less, to be less. But you're not that person anymore. You survived. You made it through. And now you get to become the person you once needed. Not for them, for you. And for everyone else who's still waiting, because there are people right now, living the way you used to live, shrinking the way you used to shrink, silencing themselves the way you used to silence yourself. And they need to see someone who stopped, someone who chose themselves, someone who proved it's possible. They need you, the real you, the one who's done pretending. So become that person. Be the voice that says you don't have to be small to be loved. Be the example that shows you can have boundaries and still have people. Be the proof that your truth won't destroy you, it will free you. This is not about being perfect. This is about being real. Real with your struggles, real with your boundaries, real with your journey. Because when you live authentically, you give others permission to do the same. When you stop apologizing for existing, you show them they don't have to either. When you choose yourself publicly, you prove it's not only possible, it's necessary. So be loud about your boundaries. Be visible in your authenticity. Be unapologetic about your needs, not because you have it all figured out, but because you're done pretending you have to. Become the person you once needed, the one who would have told you, "You're not broken, you're not too much, you're not unlovable, you're just finally becoming yourself." And that younger version of you, the one who needed to hear that, they're watching. So show them it's possible, show them it's worth it. Show them that on the other side of people pleasing, there's a life waiting. A life where you breathe fully, where you speak honestly, where you exist without apology. That's the life you're building now. Not just for you, for everyone who comes after. So keep going. Keep choosing yourself. Keep being loud, messy, imperfect, and real. Because the world doesn't need another people pleaser. It needs you free. Chapter 6. Stop asking for permission to be who you already are. 1. Self-respect over approval. Here's the choice you've been avoiding: self-respect or approval. You can't have both. Not fully, because self-respect requires you to honor yourself, even when others disapprove. And approval requires you to abandon yourself whenever others demand it. You've been choosing approval for years. Every time you said yes when you meant no. Every time you stayed quiet when you wanted to scream. Every time you made yourself smaller to make someone else comfortable. You chose approval, and it worked. People liked you. They praised you. They called you easy, flexible, kind. But what did it cost you? Your voice, your boundaries, your sense of self. You traded your integrity for validation. And now you're empty. Because approval is a drug. It feels good in the moment, but it never lasts. You need more, and more, and more. And no matter how much you get, it's never enough to fill the hole where your self-respect used to be. So here's the truth: self-respect is not negotiable. It's the foundation of everything. Your boundaries, your peace, your ability to show up in the world as yourself. And you can't build it while begging for approval, because self-respect says, "I matter whether you agree or not." Approval says, "I only matter if you agree." Self-respect is internal. Approval is external. Self-respect is stable. Approval is conditional. Self-respect is yours. Approval belongs to someone else. And you can't keep giving away your power to people who don't even know what they're holding. So stop asking, "Will they like this? Will they approve? Will they think I'm good?" Start asking, "Do I respect this choice? Does this honor who I am? Can I look myself in the mirror after this?" That's the only approval that matters. And when you choose self-respect over approval, everything changes. You stop shrinking, you stop performing, you stop betraying yourself for people who wouldn't do the same for you. You start living from the inside out, instead of the outside in. And yes, you'll lose some approval. People will be disappointed. They'll say you've changed. They'll withdraw their validation. Let them. Because the approval of people who need you small is not worth the cost of your self-respect. You've spent your whole life earning their approval, and where did it get you? Exhausted, empty, disconnected from yourself. So choose differently. Choose self-respect. Choose integrity. Choose yourself. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only way to live a life that's actually yours. And that life, it's worth more than all the approval in the world. 2. The moment you realize you don't need saving. You've been waiting to be saved. Maybe you didn't realize it. Maybe you'd never say it out loud. But deep down, you've been hoping someone would come. Someone who would see you, understand you, fix you. Someone who would finally make everything okay. A partner who would complete you. A friend who would validate you. A mentor who would guide you. Someone, anyone. And you've been waiting, adjusting yourself to be more savable, making yourself smaller so you're easier to rescue. Staying in situations that hurt because leaving would mean admitting no one's coming. But here's the truth: you've been avoiding no one is coming. Not because you're not worth saving, but because you don't need saving. You never did. You just needed permission to save yourself, and you've been waiting for someone else to give it to you. But no one can give you that permission, because it's not theirs to give. It's yours, and the moment you realize that, everything shifts. You stop waiting for someone to choose you, you choose yourself. You stop hoping someone will fix your life, you fix it. You stop looking for someone to complete you, you become whole on your own. This is the moment you realize you are not a project. You are not broken. You are not half a person waiting for someone else to make you whole. You are complete. Right now, as you are, and anything you need, you can give yourself. The validation you've been seeking, give it to yourself. The love you've been chasing, give it to yourself. The permission you've been waiting for, give it to yourself. Because no one else can do it for you. No one else can live your life. No one else can make your choices. No one else can save you. Only you can do that. And maybe that feels lonely. Maybe it feels heavy. But it's also the most liberating truth you'll ever face. Because when you stop waiting to be saved, you start living. You stop holding your breath for someone to see you. You make yourself visible. You stop waiting for permission to want more. You take it. You stop hoping someone will rescue you from your life. You build the life you don't need rescuing from. This is where your power lies, not in being saved, in saving yourself. And you've always had it. You just forgot. You forgot that you survived everything that tried to break you. You forgot that you've been holding yourself together this whole time. You forgot that you are stronger than you've been pretending to be. But you're remembering now, and once you do, you'll never wait again, because you'll finally understand you are not the damsel. You are the hero, and your story, it's just beginning. 3. You are allowed to want more loudly. You've been trained to want less, to be grateful for crumbs, to settle for good enough, to convince yourself that wanting more is greedy. So you spent your life lowering your expectations, shrinking your dreams, making peace with less than you deserve, and calling it maturity, calling it realism, calling it being low maintenance. But it's not. It's self-betrayal. Because you do want more. You always have. You want more respect, more love, more joy, more freedom, more life. And you're allowed to want it. Not quietly, not apologetically, not with 100 disclaimers about how you're grateful for what you have. Loudly. You are allowed to want more loudly. You are allowed to say, this isn't enough. I deserve better. I want more than this. And you don't have to justify it. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove you're worthy of it. You just have to want it, and claim it, because wanting more is not selfish, it's human. And denying yourself more, just to make other people comfortable with your smallness, is not noble. It's tragic. You have one life, one. And you're spending it pretending you don't want what you want. Pretending you're satisfied when you're starving. Pretending you're fine with less when you're dying for more. Why? Because someone once told you that wanting was too much? Because you've been taught that ambition is unattractive? Because asking for more makes people uncomfortable. So what? Their comfort is not your responsibility. Their opinion is not your prison. Their limitations are not your ceiling. You are allowed to want everything. The career that excites you, the relationship that fulfills you, the life that makes you come alive. All of it. And you're allowed to go after it, not by waiting for permission. Not by apologizing for your ambition, not by making yourself small enough to fit into someone else's vision of what you should want, but by declaring it, loudly, clearly, unapologetically. I want more, I'm going after it, and I'm not shrinking myself to make that easier for you to accept. This is not about being demanding, this is about being honest. Honest about what lights you up, honest about what you need to thrive, honest about the life you actually want to live. And if that makes people uncomfortable, good. Your smallness has been making you uncomfortable for years. It's their turn. So want more. Say it out loud. Say it often. Say it until you believe it. Because you are not greedy for wanting a life that feels full. You are not selfish for refusing to settle. You are not too much for needing more than the bare minimum. You are alive. I'm alive people want. So want. Loudly, boldly, without apology, and then go get it. 4. Your future begins where people-pleasing ends. Your future is waiting for you, but it can't start until you stop. Stop shrinking, stop performing, stop abandoning yourself for approval. Because the life you actually want, it's on the other side of people-pleasing. And you can't get there by staying small. You can't build a bold future while living a careful life. You can't create authentic connections while wearing masks. You can't become yourself while trying to be everyone else's version of you. It doesn't work. You have to let go. Let go of the need to be liked by everyone. Let go of the fear of disappointing people. Let go of the belief that your worth is determined by how easy you are. Let go of people pleasing. And the moment you do, the moment you stop betraying yourself, everything opens up. Doors you didn't even know existed. Opportunities you were too small to see. People who were waiting for the real you. Your future begins where people pleasing ends. Not because people pleasing was keeping you safe, but because it was keeping you stuck. Stuck in relationships that drain you. Stuck in patterns that diminish you. Stuck in a version of yourself that isn't real. And your future, the one you actually want, requires the real you. The you that says no. The you that takes up space. The you that wants more and isn't afraid to admit it. That version of you, that's who your future belongs to. So stop waiting. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for people pleasing to finally work. It won't. It will never get you where you want to go, because where you want to go requires honesty. And people pleasing is the opposite of that. So start now. Start choosing yourself. Start speaking your truth. Start building the life you want instead of the life people expect. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. People will push back. Some relationships will end. You'll question yourself 100 times. But you'll also breathe deeper, sleep better, feel more alive than you have in years, because you'll finally be living your life, not theirs. And that life, the one where you exist fully, that's where your future begins. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, not when circumstances are perfect. Now. Your future begins the moment you decide, I'm done shrinking, I'm done performing, I'm done people pleasing. That moment, that's your beginning. So begin. Conclusion: the world doesn't need another perfect person. It needs you unfiltered. You made it. Not to the end. To the beginning, because this is where your real life starts. The one where you stop apologizing for existing. The one where you take up space without permission. The one where you finally show up as yourself. Fully, loudly, unapologetically. And maybe you're scared. Maybe you're thinking, what if I lose people? What if I'm too much? What if I get this wrong? Here's the truth. You will lose people. You will be too much for the wrong people. You will get it wrong sometimes, and you'll survive all of it. Because the alternative, staying small, is not survival. It's slow death. And you didn't come this far to keep dying. You came this far to live. So live. Live messy. Live loud. Live imperfect. But live as yourself. Not the version that's easy to love. Not the version that never rocks the boat. Not the version that makes everyone comfortable. The version that's real. Because the world doesn't need another perfect person. It has enough people performing. Enough people pretending. Enough people shrinking to fit. What it needs is you. The you that takes up space. The you that says no. The you that wants more and isn't afraid to go after it. The world needs your voice, the real one. The world needs your boundaries, the solid ones. The world needs your truth, the uncomfortable one. Unfiltered, unpolished, unapologetically you. And maybe that feels selfish. Maybe it feels arrogant. Maybe it feels like too much, but it's not. It's necessary. Because every time you show up as yourself, you give someone else permission to do the same. Every time you set a boundary, you show someone else it's possible. Every time you choose yourself, you prove that self-betrayal is not the price of belonging. You become the example, the proof, the permission, and that matters. Not just for you, for everyone who's still shrinking. Everyone who's still people-pleasing. Everyone who's still waiting for permission to be themselves. They're watching, and they need to see you succeed. They need to see you choose yourself and survive it. They need to see that life doesn't end when you stop pleasing everyone, it begins. So keep going, keep choosing yourself, keep speaking your truth, keep taking up space. Not because you're perfect, but because you're done pretending to be. And that's enough, more than enough. You are enough, not when you achieve more, not when you fix yourself, not when you finally become who everyone wants you to be. Right now, as you are, unfiltered. This is not the end of your people-pleasing era. This is the beginning of your self-respecting one. And it won't be easy. You'll doubt yourself. You'll want to go back to being small. You'll wonder if authenticity is worth the cost. It is, every single time. Because the cost of people-pleasing is your life, and your life is not negotiable. So take it back. Take back your voice. Take back your boundaries. Take back your right to exist fully, and don't apologize for it. Not to them, not to yourself, not to anyone. You've spent enough time being small. It's time to take up space. The world is waiting, not for another perfect person. For you, raw, real, unfiltered, so show up, and don't you dare shrink again. The end.